Thanks once again for choosing RTV News. Top of our edition, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Dr. Vincent Biruta, has urged Gasabo District Administration to be more deliberative in regard to service provision techniques reserved for residents. Precious Kirezi kicks us off.
The district of Gasabo has portrayed the various activities that have been put in place for the betterment of their residents, which include the creation of over 95,000 job opportunities that are close to the targeted 1.5 million jobs nationwide, as well as 52.4 kilometers worth of tarmac roads being constructed, which 79% of the population contributed to, and availing access to electricity and water for residential consumption at a rate of 95%. Advisors of different districts have shed light on certain issues they feel need to be advocated for. For example, Gisozi being inhabited by 53,000 people and not having a single health center is an issue that should be resolved with immediate effect.
There are a lot of obstacles that have already resolved, as the administration said. The infrastructure plan for Kigali is inclusive of 100 kilometers for Gasabo district. The schools that have been built have reduced the congestion in classrooms, especially in Gisozi. However, there are no health centers there, and this should be resolved soon.
The results yielded from this meeting are the newfound awareness of the problems being dealt with and finding solutions for those within our control. The measures we're taking will be passed on to be analyzed in order to reach the best outcome possible. Gasabo has an operational unit in place to resolve disputes the residents may be dealing with, which a district official depicts for us.
Twakoze amatsinda y'abakozi n'abayobozi buri murenge ufite iminsi yawo.
We created groups of workers and leaders in each sector that were allocated 2 days. On the first day, we talked to the people and the leaders to solve their problems. And if we can't solve them by the end of the second day, we get close to residents and observe the problem firsthand until we find ways to resolve it.
Dukemurira hasi twegereye abaturage. Ubu rero nk'akarere twaramanutse niyo gahunda turimo.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Dr. Vincent Biruta, who also serves as the focal point of Gasabo District, maintains the view that adequate service provision should not entail bureaucracy.
Imikorere iramutse igeze kuri buri mukozi wese wa leta ibibazo byaba bike.
If this practice was to be applied to every public servant, there would be fewer problems. That of receiving problems every day and giving them access to resolution is preferable to the culture of waiting for those who say that you will come back tomorrow and not service you when you do. The occurrence of cases where residential cases have not been looked over for a while is a tradition that should be unlearned.
Amadosiye kuraza ibibazo by'abaturage mu biro byacu ntabwo ari byiza.
Surveys meant to document the quality of service provision have been distributed within the district in an effort to facilitate its progress. Precious Chidezi, RTV News.
Thank you, Precious. Moving on, the management of Akagera National Park continues to impact the lives of the locals that reside around it and also earning revenue for the country. The impact to be seen after the management of the park was handed over to the African Parks Organization led by Prince Harry, who was received by President Paul Kagame on Monday. We have more in this report.
The President of the Republic of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, on Monday received Prince Harry, a grandson to Queen Elizabeth II of the United Kingdom of England and son of Prince Charles, who is expected to succeed his mother, Queen Elizabeth, on the throne. Prince Harry is the president of the African Parks, an organization partnering with the Rwandan government to manage 2 of its national parks, including Nyungwe and Akagera. Since 2010, Akagera National Park has continued to evolve under the management of African Parks in partnership with the government of Rwanda. Ariel Kajaruka, Director of Tourism and Conservation at the Rwanda Development Board, says that the collaboration has increased the attraction of tourists and in turn locals near the park have benefited.
The restoration of the biodiversity, of course, of Akagera National Park, which saw the introduction of a new species in this national park, where we have 30 white rhinos which were introduced in November 2021. As you probably have seen, the population has been thriving and increasing in population as well. Since 2005, the revenue sharing scheme, which has dedicated 10% of our total park revenues to community livelihood projects, where we have today contributed close to 8 billion Rwandan francs into projects that promote the socio-economic improvement of the communities.
This was also confirmed by Karama Joseph, who works with Akagera National Park.
Akagera is working with at least over 700 members grouped into more than 12 cooperatives who are benefiting from some big projects like beekeeping. The beekeepers around Akagera National Park managed to make 50 million for last year from 12 tons. 12 tons is 12,000 kilograms of honey that was harvested last year. Fisheries, community fishery projects, this is something that we have emphasized, and we see that it can be scaled, and we expect to be harvesting at least 30 tons of fish every year.
Karama also says that the management of Akagera National Park strives to create more jobs for locals who reside near the park.
400 people find work in Akagera on a monthly basis, and they look after their households. And this will now grow because good management of Akagera has spilled over. The economy around the park is growing. New lodges in and outside the park are coming up, and that should increase capacity building and employment and more benefits like selling food to these lodges and to the park as well.
Akagera National Park, managed by African Parks since 2010, is one of the top tourist parks in the region and in Africa as a whole because of its big 5 animals that attract tourists. In 2017, 18 black rhinos were introduced to the park and 5 more were added in 2019. Lions were also introduced to the park in 2015 and increased after 2 more males were added in 2017. Prince Harry is the president of African Parks, which manages the park since 2010. He is in Rwanda on business as part of overseeing African Parks in Rwanda. After being received by President Paul Kagame on Monday, Prince Harry also visited the Kigali Genocide Memorial, where victims of the genocide are resting.
More than 176,000 Rwandans have received the second booster shot, as Rwanda Biomedical Center, RBC, also encourages those who are eligible to get the booster dose to do so, because it will help further prevention of the spread of COVID-19. Adam Kwizera has the details.
All residents over 50 and 60 years of age and people with chronic diseases are receiving the second booster shot, while some have already taken it. Others says that they were unaware that they had started administering it.
I got all the COVID shots and didn't face any problems. They said we have to get the second booster shot, so I went there and got vaccinated. I haven't heard of anyone who has died from the vaccine. Instead of killing, it reduces death. I would even take the 5th if it was recommended.
For the first, second and third vaccine, I didn't get any problem. I have not yet received the second booster. I didn't know that was an option.
I got the third shot from Gahanga Health Center. For the second booster shot, I will go back. I heard they started vaccinating.
Generally, residents says that they've already understood the importance of taking COVID-19 vaccines, including the booster shots.
The booster shot didn't affect me. I heard they were giving a second one, so I want to know where I can get it from so I can complete my vaccines. Vaccines help a lot, and without it, one can possibly succumb to death.
Taking all vaccines is important. No one should underestimate it by saying that COVID-19 doesn't exist. There are some who underestimated it, yet we've seen many people who died of COVID-19. However, some health workers says that nowadays the number of people who are taking COVID-19 booster shots is still at low rate. According to the Ministry of Health, people under age of 18 are currently not allowed to receive COVID-19 booster shots.
Regarding the vaccination of the elderly and those with chronic diseases, their participation is still very low. It's necessary to make these campaigns so that they can be in huge numbers. Participants in the program tell us booster shots are very important.
Baba bavuga ko izo nkingo ari izije kubangiza mu mubiri wabo.
There are some who says that vaccines came to harm their bodies. You find that those understandings make them refuse to get vaccinated, but the campaigns done to encourage the shots tend to change their minds so that there should be more of them. The director of Vaccination Program Unity in Rwanda Biomedical Center RBC, Siboman Hassan, points out that no one should be worried about the number of COVID-19 vaccines because it's not the only vaccine that is given more than once to fight the virus. We vaccinate children up to 15 months. There are vaccines a child takes more than once, and hepatitis 3 times. For the cervical cancer, children under 12 years get 2 shots. It is understandable that a person gets more vaccines depending on the disease. Concerning to the second booster shot, Siboman Hassan urges people who are eligible to get vaccinated. In this vaccination program, we don't vaccinate people who are sick. A person should be vaccinated before the disease spreads. That's why we keep vaccinating children. That's the reason why you see polio has ended. In this case, all children have to be vaccinated. Same as COVID-19, when we see numbers falling down with no death cases, we think it's vaccination contribution. Statistics from the Ministry of Health shows that by 21st August, more than 9,162,000 have received the first dose, 8,910,000 received the second dose, and 5,440,000 people received a booster dose, while 175,939 people are the ones who already received the second booster dose. Measures taken by the country to curb the spread of COVID-19 pandemic, including delivering vaccines to the majority of the citizens, have contributed to the reduction in infections, although the pandemic have not died down completely. Adams Kwizera, RwandaTV News.
Thank you, Adams. Now, residents of Rwanda sector in Nyabihu district say they are worried because the maternity ward in Nyakiriba Hospital has not been in use in 3 years. This has affected the health of babies and mothers during birth. Authorities say it was closed because the road to the maternity ward was damaged. Take a look.
Uwimana Odette lives in Nyakiriba village. It takes her less than 100 meters from where she lives to the health center. Due to the fact that the maternity ward at this health center has not been operational for the last 3 years, her second baby was born on the way as she was being taken to Nyakigezi Health Center. She says that although she successfully gave birth, it was a struggle because she had no options. I gave birth on my way to the hospital and they allowed me in. I struggled to give birth by myself because there was no doctor. Sometimes you have to find solutions because when you're pregnant, it's between life and death. Odette shares this problem with other mothers in the area. There are times a mother could go to the hospital almost giving birth and they told her they do not have the capacity to help her, and mothers end up giving birth on the way, which risks losing their life, yet the doctor could have helped them from the hospital. I went to the hospital and they transferred me to another hospital. When I was about to give birth on the way, it failed and I had to wait until I reached the hospital and ended up giving birth with a C-section. Some residents say such incidents only occur because they try to rush the pregnant mother to the hospital to give birth, yet they have a long distance to travel. We're always rushing and there can be accidents leading to loss of life. It is a fact that there are some mothers that died during childbirth after the maternity ward was closed. The management of Nyakigezi Health Center says the maternity ward was closed 3 years ago due to the difficulties faced by pregnant women and the fact that the road to the health center was damaged. The deputy director of this hospital noted that the issue can be solved by repairing the road, since even delivering medicine to the hospital has become difficult. They leave the medicine in that valley and we have to carry it ourselves because there is no other way. And you can understand that we carried the medicine in unfavorable conditions. The main issue here is that there is no road. If there was a road, everything else would be easy. The deputy mayor in charge of social affairs in Nyabihu says that the district is planning to construct a Nyakiriba-Chinhowo road and that is expected to solve the issue. In the meantime, he says those who need medical services should be sent to Ruhengeri Hospital in Musanze district, since the hospital has the capacity to construct another road connecting to Nyakiriba Health Center. Yashira Hospital is not available yet. We're planning to repair the road so that in case a mother gets complications, we can use that road to transfer them to the Ruhengeri Hospital. So far, it's the only option we have. The administration of Nyabihu district has not revealed the time when the road construction will begin. The distance from Musanze to Nyakiriba Health Center is more than 2 hours, which is 4 times longer than from Nyakiriba to Shira Hospital. Before the maternity wards at Nyakiriba Center was closed, it received between 20 and 30 pregnant mothers every month, whereas in the last 3 months, the health center only received 10 mothers after they gave birth on the way to the hospital. Precious Chirezi, RTV News.
Moving on, people who recovered from cancer and health authorities are urging everyone in general to get checked for this disease often and also to refrain from over alcohol consumption and smoking in order to fight the disease. Now, on the other hand, health authorities say that the efforts have been made in treatment of this disease, which has resulted in reducing the number of deaths from the disease. Take a look.
Edmond Kajire is 39 years old now. He was diagnosed with liver cancer at the age of 32. It was not easy for him. They told me that I have liver cancer and it was on the 2nd stage, heading to the 3rd stage. They told me that I have chances of living when treated early. Kajire had liver surgery and a large part of it was cut off. He testifies that in addition to extra pain from the disease, it also affects the brain and costs a lot of money to treat. I got surgery and my body reacted well because my liver rejuvenated back to the normal size. The doctor told me that I am very lucky. Without people around you to encourage you, to tell you that you'll get okay. You can die easily. However, there are still people who do not have enough information about this disease. I don't have enough information. I don't know how I can prevent from cancer. Dr. Achille Manirakiza is an oncologist at King Faisal Hospital. He insists that the majority of the patients who go to this hospital include young people. Breast cancer and stomach cancer are the most common cases in these times, and he asks that people always get checked for this disease. Whenever you feel something strange is going on in your body, you need to go for testing. Doctors usually say that if people can take their cars for a checkup, why not take their bodies for checkup as well? Dr. Achille advises those with cancer patients to stay close to them. Some patients stop taking medicines because their relatives abandoned them. We ask people to be close to those patients because that affects their ability to fight cancer. The Rwanda Biomedical Center, RBC, says that the government continues to focus on the treatment of the disease, which appears to be increasing in the time, especially among young people. And now, the government continues to focus on promoting the prevention of the disease and campaigns to increase citizens' awareness about the disease, as explained by Mark Hagenimana, the Director of Cancer Disease Unit at the Rwanda Biomedical Center. In Butaro and the Rwanda Military Hospital that is equipped with treating cancer, plus all other top hospitals in the country, including King Faisal Hospital and CHUK. The other thing is that the government put in place campaigns to encourage people to prevent from cancer, including encouraging people to work on their eating behaviors, sport exercises, and other things that can help a person equip their bodies with immunity. Statistics indicate that in the year 2021, 4,894 people were treated for cancer in various hospitals around Rwanda, while in the past 5 years, 59% of the people treated for cancer survived, whereas 41% of those treated died. Sam Kalisa, RTV News.
That's all we had for you folks. Always a pleasure having your company, and we're glad you chose RTV News. We'll see you soon.